Happy Monday. We have just one chapter left of the Friendship War. It's chapter 28 called One More Button. Mrs. Porter's total button ban happened at that all-school assembly almost a month ago. But this morning on the bus, I saw button trading. Not as much as back in September, and not out in the open. But it's still happening. Turns out that a fad is a tough thing to kill. So is friendship. Which is not a theory, I have proof. Because it's Friday afternoon 1 week before Halloween, and in about 5 minutes, Ellie and I are meeting up for the only sleepover we've had since last May. And it's at my house, which hasn't happened for years. Walking back to class after Hank and Ellie came and rescued me in the principal's office, I felt happier than I could ever remember. And over the next few days, Ellie and I talked, really talked. Maybe for the first time ever. I told her about Grandpa's mill building and about all the buttons he sent me, and about Grandma and graveyards, and what my mom said about dying and not dying, and how she said that she wasn't friends today with a single kid she knew back in 6th grade. We talked about everything. I could tell Hank kind of felt left out when Ellie and I got going, especially at lunchtime. So Hank and I have been texting a lot. In our science and math class every day, Ellie's not there, which is good. The day Mrs. Porter called us to the office and handed us the bill for the button cleanup expense, that was a tough one. We got into the hallway afterward and Ellie exploded. $600? That's $200 each. I don't have that kind of money. I mean, I've got all my birthday cash, but it's in a savings account. And if I tried to take out that much, my parents would have a fit. $600? That has to be wrong. Of course, Mrs. Porter wasn't wrong at all. 4 people doing lawn work for 3 hours at $22.50 per hour, plus 3 police officers on special detail for 2 hours at $55 per hour, equals $600. That's the math, and numbers don't lie. But Hank wasn't worried, and neither was I. The two of us had already worked out a solution. And once we told Ellie about our plan, she stopped worrying too. Okay, it was really Hank's plan. Because Hank was the one who had been doing tons of research about buttons, and he knew that vintage buttons are valuable, and he knew that there are active collectors on eBay, hunting for buttons and buying them every single day. And he knew that I had plenty of valuable buttons. Except we had a problem. A person has to be at least 18 years old to have an eBay account. Ben is only 15, so he's useless, and there's no way we wanted to get any of our parents involved. You want me to do what? That's what Grandpa said when the 3 of us ambushed him on speakerphone one afternoon and explained how we needed him to open up an eBay account and a PayPal account for us so we could earn $600 by selling vintage buttons. Grandpa said no about 20 times, but one great thing about Ellie, she can talk faster than anybody and she never gives up. And once Grandpa started laughing, that was it, and our top secret after-school button-selling business was off and running. I gave Hank bags and bags of buttons so that he could do research and organize sets of buttons to offer for sale. Next, I took lots of photos of each button group to show what we were selling, and I emailed the pics to Ellie so she could write descriptions and do the computer work to put each group up for sale in our eBay store. And Grandpa, he just kept working on his old mill building and worrying about how he was going to explain all of this to Mom and Dad if they found out what he had done. And they did find out. Because once the buttons started to sell, orders piled up fast, and we had to mail little packages of buttons all over the place. And I mean all over. Like to England and Japan and the Netherlands, even to China. And there was no way to keep all of that a secret. So I had to explain to Mom and Dad what we were doing, and then why we were doing it, and then how we were doing it, and Grandpa was part of the how. They were pretty upset about the why because I told them everything, only I didn't tell about Ben's economic lecture and the way he didn't tell me to do anything. Ben owes me big time, and he knows it. But Mom and Dad understood why I dumped all of those buttons, and they were glad everything was good again between Ellie and me. And when I told them how I had 2 best friends come and stand up for me in the principal's office, Dad's opinion of Hank went from high to higher, which Hank totally deserves. The balance in our PayPal account reached $607.14 after only 11 days of button trading, and the stuff we sold barely made a dent in my 3 boxes of specialty buttons. After we had paid Mrs. Porter, Ellie wanted to keep on selling. Her idea was that I would keep 50% of the profits because the buttons were mine, and she and Hank would each get 25% for the work they did. It seemed fair, but I told her that I was all done with buttons, at least for now. So Ellie didn't get her way, but she didn't get mad. And she didn't keep pushing, and she didn't stomp away in a huff, which was really something new and really good. I've got the front door open before Ellie can ring the doorbell, and we both wave goodbye to her mom. Inside the front hall, she looks around. Feels like it's been forever since I was here. Not forever, just 2 years, 1 month, and 6 days. You came over after school to work on a project for social studies. She nods. Right, 4th grade, and it was about the Illinois Constitution. And then she looks at me. And ever since then, I've always made you come to my house. You know how come I did that? Of course, so you could be in charge of everything. We both laugh a little, and she gets serious again because she knows I'm actually not joking about that. So how come you kept putting up with me? Simple. I've always known that you're a really good person. Plus, I love the fancy root beer that your mom buys. We laugh again and then go upstairs. Ellie stops in the doorway of my room, just looking around, which is exactly what Hank did the day that he came over. I had started to clean things up when I got home after school today, but then I stopped because I wanted my room to look the way that it is, not the way I imagined Ellie would like it to look. She walks over to my dresser, and I stand a little to one side, watching her eyes jump around from object to object. I hope she's not trying to make sense of it all, because that's not possible, even for me. Then Ellie points, and I see what she's found. 3 jagged pieces of the pinwheel button, just like Hank did. Sorry, I meant to throw those away. No, you shouldn't. Listen. I know you're pretty tired of buttons, but I brought you one more today anyways. No, you shouldn't. Listen, I know you're pretty... She hands me a brass button. I run my thumb across the raised letter on the front. Strong hold. And right away I remember. I can't keep this. I remember this is from your great-great-grandfather. She smiles at me. You know what your mom said about losing touch with all of her 6th grade friends? Well, we're not going to be like that. And if I ever need this button, you'll be the first to know. And if that day comes, then you'll have to show up in person and give it back to me. Ellie puts out her hand. Deal? Deal. And we shake on it. The end. Be on the lookout to see what the next book is that I'm going to pick for our read aloud. Have a great Monday.